Hey, alright everybody, how's it going? Now, by here in front of me, I got the ZEV Mandate, the new updated sort of version, by here, right by here in front of me. Now, I've seen a few videos of people talking about it, so this is my take on it. I think I did see a video pop up by the Scottish clan car guy or something, and his headline was the massive or the huge changes, but I'm looking at it and I don't think it's that much of a change. This is just my opinion, by the way. So it says by here, I'm just looking at the sort of little snippet part, and it says the 2030 ZEV phase out of new petrol and diesel cars still stands. That's pure petrol and pure diesel. That still stands. But the sale of hybrids until 2035 has been confirmed, and small manufacturers who only make a small amount of cars, you know, the high performance supercars, they're still allowed to make them because they're only in small numbers. So they're still there, and they're probably because they're UK firms, I expect, isn't it? That some of lot of these small ones are made in the UK. It says it's given firms even greater freedom on how to meet the targets, easing pressure on the industry, and I think that's to do with they're going to reduce the £15,000 fine to £12,000, and if you sell an electric van, it's in here somewhere later, but you get more credits if you sell an electric. I'll have a look a bit later, but I'm sure you get like 2 car worth credits if you sell an electric van. Now, why do I think that this doesn't make much difference? Well, this is my thoughts on the matter. I've been looking at the price of cars, right? And if you go and look at like a hybrid, for instance, or even a mild hybrid, let's take the Nissan Qashqai, for example. They do a mild hybrid, which is just a small battery, and I think is boosted by the alternator starter malarkey thing. So it's just trying to get the fuel consumption down a little bit because it helps when you pull off. Instead of using a lot of fuel when you pull off, that helps and it reduces the fuel, gets the CO2 down a little bit, you know, on the numbers, not the actual, you know, on the street using the car, but the numbers they do, you know, the numbers they fudge. So that is just over £30,000 for that mild hybrid car, and the e-power car, which is better than the mild hybrid car, because I think that I can't quite remember how that works, but it's using an electric motor more, and the motor's charging the battery or something like that. I can't quite remember, but the e-power is £34,000. It's only a smidge more than the mild hybrid, but you do get better MPG. But they're both hybrids. And why am I blabbing on about this for? Because of the price. Because electric car prices are coming down and down and down. And by the time we get to 2030, I think hybrids, in some cases, are going to be more expensive than your EV battery equivalent. And this is why I think it doesn't make that much difference, because people tend to buy things with their pocket and money and stuff like that. Now, there will be people who are going to say, you know, we live in a flat or we can't charge it, we're going to have to buy a hybrid. It's fair enough. I'm not demonising anybody. I'm just saying what I think. And I think that if the price for EVs is better and you can fuel it cheaper if you have your own driveway, then the argument for buying a hybrid sort of disappears, doesn't it? Because they are more expensive. They're more expensive than normal petrol cars. So that is why I don't think it's going to make that much difference. Now, the amount of sales that the 28% or whatever is, I think that still stands, but there's more ways of them getting out of the fines by selling more cars that can are lower in emissions. Now, it's another thing as well I want to touch on as well. Car manufacturers, because they've had to try and make cars more efficient and better, you know, better on the exhaust emissions, they've had to stick more malarkey on the car. Malarkey, it's all a bunch of malarkey, okay? things that can go wrong. That has made them cars more expensive, and they're more expensive to repair when they're used cars later on in life. So that's another thing, is it's just all getting more expensive. These hybrid cars, plug-in hybrids, they're more expensive, but they're not the best car to have, in my opinion. I'd rather have a full battery car than a hybrid car. But that's just my opinion. Other people will disagree. But personally, I can't see the point of hybrid cars. Maybe plug-in hybrid still, it sort of gets people into the idea of plugging a car in, and is absolutely fine. But anyway, I'm waffling now. So it says by here, 2.3 billion to boost manufacturing zero emission vehicles and help people to make the switch. Like I was saying, the firms will be given greater freedom on how to meet that target with, loads of things they can do, probably. Selling cars with lower emissions, getting credits, all that sort of stuff. Now, I try and read down a little bit further by here. And it does say by here they're going to allow hybrid cars like Toyota Prius and the Nissan e-Power. Now, they haven't said the mild hybrids, so I'm wondering if there'll be sort of any stipulations on, the mild hybrids, or will they have to be proper full-blown hybrids? I'm not quite sure. But I still think, I'm trying to read a little bit further because there's so much information by here. I did see something about, like I was saying earlier on, here it is by here. They're going to introduce a new flexibility by allowing for van to car transfer. So one car credit can be exchanged for 0.4 van credits. And one van credit will be exchanged for 2 car credits. So that's trying to push manufacturers to sell more electric vans, because they're going to get 2 for the price of 1. So that does make their credits go up. So you might see a little bit of a push on electric vans. Electric vans are getting better. The first lot around, the range wasn't very good because you have got to carry stuff in the back. They're a little bit heavier. Still good for, the people who do short journeys, but we need electric vans to go a little bit further and charge less, because it's too much downtime charging. That's just my opinion. Some people might disagree. And there are electric vans now coming with bigger batteries. So that's my take on it. There's loads of stuff to go through by here. Extending the current ability to borrow in 2024 to 2026 to enable repayment through to 2030. So they're all going to get behind on their books and owe lots of money by 2030. The only thing I will say is that messing about with the ZEV mandate is sort of people who are investing in electric vehicles and the charging infrastructure. Them kind of people might go, I won't invest quite as much yet as I was going to. So that is one of the problems that I can see with this. Other than that, I can't see, it's not going to make that much difference. Because, like I said, what's the Vauxhall Frontera, the hybrid and the battery equivalent are exactly the same price. Even now, today, in 2025, they're exactly the same price. And people are saying that batteries are getting cheaper and cheaper. So by 2030, in 5 years' time, the electric cars are going to be cheaper than the hybrids. So it doesn't make that much difference. That's just my take on it. What's your take on it? Tell me down below if you think that the small change that happened, do you think it's going to make that much of a difference? Put it down in the comment section and let me know. There is more stuff here. They say they're going to try and invest in stuff. Now, I did see a few things. Just hang on. I'll end this video with some positive news, okay? I'm going to find some positive news, because I know positive news isn't liked by the anti-EV crowd. So let me just look by here now, and I have got some positive news. Well, you might think it's positive, some other people might not think it's not positive. If you don't like EVs, you're not going to think it's positive. And I wrote these things down by here. Volkswagen Group doubles the all-electric deliveries in Europe for this year. Doubles. So they've gone up in sales. Another article I read was private customers are turning towards electric vehicles in greater numbers. Ooh! Work has started on the installation of 100 new electric vehicle EV charging points across Harrow. BYD's 5-minute EV charging. Now that's a little thing I wanted to touch on by here. Ben Sullins did a video about the guy Australia who bobbles his head around like this all the time, and he'll find a negative, he'll drag out a negative from anything that's positive. And he was trying to say that the BYD 5-minute charging is what, and all the anti-EV people have said, if 5-minute charging comes along, I'll buy an EV. No, they won't. Because what they'll do, they'll move the goalposts and they'll say things like, it's impossible, it can't be done. Now, he was bobbling his head around like that. Not Ben Sullins, the guy Australia, bobbling his head around, spouting nonsense. And he was talking as if every single public charging port would have to be a BYD 5-minute EV one. But it doesn't work like that. Some people don't want a 5-minute charge, believe it or not. A lot of people don't actually use public charging very often. Me, for one, I've used the public charging twice, and I didn't have to. I only used it to go for a drive somewhere to show me using a public charger. So there's loads of cases like that. So it won't be for everyone. It'll only be a small number of things, even if it does come to the UK. But like I said, when the thing that they say they want happens, then they shift the goalposts every single time. A total of 120 chargers will be installed across Newport in South Wales. And Renault, that's another thing by here. Another thing I want to talk about was the luxury car tax thing. And I've seen a lot of cars doing this. So in a way, it's making cars cheaper for people to buy. Renault discounts its EV range to avoid tax hikes, with the government expensive car supplement hitting cars, and the Renault Scenic Techno long range was £40,995. It now costs £37,195. So that sort of works in that sort of way. And last of all, because people like to put EV fires in the news, an actual car fire happened just up the road from me, about, I'd say, 2 miles away from where I live. And I do drive past this road quite often, and I'll pull it up on the screen now. And the car was not electric, it was a Vauxhall Insignia. And there was a video, I can't find the video now, but it was burning like mad, and they had to spray like foam on it. And just to the left of this picture, you can't see it, but just to the left of there is a petrol station. Ooh. So anyway, that's some good news about EVs. There's plenty of good news out there if you look. That was just my sort of thoughts on the ZEV mandate. I don't think it's going to make that much of a difference. Maybe it might make a little bit of a difference to the people who are going to invest a certain amount of money, might hold back a little bit longer, because there's been a sort of a slight reprieve. Maybe, I don't know. But anyway, it isn't as bad as it all seems. If you did like this video, don't forget to give it a like, comment down below, and I'll catch you in the next one. Hi!